How many salespeople would you hire if you knew in advance that they would succeed? Most CEOs say all of them, but in many cases, hiring is a function that's collaborated on between HR and sales leadership, both of whom are very good at what they do. HR directors at running HR and sales leaders at running sales. But what both roles often lack for knowledge is how assessments actually work and how to choose the appropriate assessment. So I'm going to take 2 minutes and see if I can simplify assessments. For most roles in most companies, general employment assessments work just fine. And that can be a personality assessment like Caliper, or a behavioral styles assessment like Predictive Index or DISC. And I'm not naming those three because those three are the best. They're just very popular and most people are familiar with them. But when it comes to hiring salespeople, personality is not predictive of whether a salesperson will succeed in a role. Neither are behavioral styles. You need a sales assessment that will identify how a salesperson will perform in the 21 sales core competencies, how they will perform in a specific selling role, and what the company might expect for challenges when those salespeople hit the phones or go in the field. Now, EEOC is a part of this. The EEOC, in terms of fair hiring practices, suggests that an assessment must be reliable and consistent in its findings and be validated. Well, the other thing they suggest is that if you're going to use an assessment, the only fair use is if all candidates are assessed. So that would require that you use an assessment early in your process and not late, so as not to be discriminatory. Now, the other piece they mentioned was validation. Very few people understand the various kinds of validation that assessments can qualify for. So the simplest form of validation is called face validity, and it's exactly what it sounds like. At its face, the questions that are being asked appear to be consistent with what the publisher of the test claims that they are testing for. That's not very powerful. Somewhere in the middle is construct validity, where the findings of the assessment appear to be consistent with what they claim to be testing for and measuring. That's better. But if you want an assessment that's going to be predictive, you need predictive validity. And with predictive validity, the findings must be consistent with on-the-job performance. And in sales, the only thing that matters is on-the-job performance. The only assessment that uses predictive validity for validation is Objective Management Group, or OMG, and their sales candidate assessment, which also happens to be the only assessment that measures all 21 sales core competencies. So there you have it. Assess early to meet EEOC's requirements, and use OMG sales candidate assessment so that you're using an accurate predictive assessment that actually measures the sales functions. Hope that helps simplify the world of assessments. This is Dave Kurlan.